Okay, so if you
Okay.
remember that when we were creating the storage policy, so while creating the storage
Mm,
policy, it gives us the option for mentioning the retention. Okay, but we discussed
mm,
like we are going to modify the retention later on, because later on we will be getting a lot more option. Okay, so if you
mm,
want to
mm,
modify the retention for any of these storage policy copies, so what you will do is, see, this is a storage policies. Okay, and let's suppose this was the one
mm,
storage policy that we created. Okay, and in this one I
mm,
have the storage policy with the name primary.
mm,
Okay, so what I will do is, let's suppose on this particular primary copy that is actually used to back up the data from your disk, from your source, that is from your client to your disk library. Okay, the first copy of the
mm,
data. So for that one, what is the retention that that you want? So for that, you have to modify the retention in the primary copy. So if you want to modify the
mm,
retention in the primary storage policy, you have to right click on the primary, go to the properties. Okay, and in the properties there will be a window that will be coming up, and that particular window will have an option called retention. Okay, there will be a tab with
mm,
the name retention. Here it is. Okay, so I will select this particular tab, and you can see this window will come up. Okay, earlier
mm,
on when we were creating the storage policy, we used to get only the options for the basic retention rule, that for how many days you want to keep and the number of stream that you can check.
mm,
Okay, but you can see over here
mm,
right now we have a lot more options over here.
mm,
Okay, so we'll discuss what all these options are and how exactly the retention works in case of Commvault.
mm,
Okay, now in this window the first very option is enable data aging. Okay, that is by default.
mm,
Data aging simply means that you have allowed that, whatever data for which retention get expired, whatever data which has backed up using this particular storage policy and for which retention get expire or get complete. Okay, so for
mm,
delete all that data. Okay, if you have enabled this one,
mhm.
if you disable this particular option, then there will be no data that will be deleted from your disk library or your tape library, even when it completes the retention.
Yeah. Mm. Okay.
Okay, now by default it should be
Mm,
enabled always. Okay, then there is an
mm,
option you can see down there. There are the two options, the two main option that you can see. That is your basic retention rule for all backup and extended retention rules for full backups. Okay, so we can say that
mm,
the
mm,
retention, there are the two type of retention that we actually define on the storage policy. Okay, one
mm,
retention rule is called basic retention rule, and the another retention
mm,
rule is called extended retention rules.
mm.
Okay, first we will try to discuss the
Okay.
basic retention rule for all backups. Okay, so
Mm,
this, remember this thing, this basic retention rule is applicable for no matter what type of backup it is, but it is applicable for all type of backup, whether it's a incremental, differential, whether it's full, whether it's synthetic full. For all of them, that particular type
mm,
of backup, this particular type of retention is applicable. Okay, now,
mm,
if you want to keep the data for the infinite time, then you are going to select this particular option. But if you want to retain the
mm,
data for some given specific time, okay, so in
mhm,
that case, you have to select this particular option, retain for.
mm,
Okay, retain for. For how many days you want to retain, you are going to mention the retention over there. By default, you can see
mm,
the by default under the primary storage policy, the retention is 30 days, 2 cycles. Okay,
mm,
so now if you want to change the retention to anything, let's suppose there is a requirement from the client that they want the retention to be of 15 days. Okay,
mm,
and you have mentioned that the retention over here is equals to, so, the retention is also mentioned in the in terms of cycles as well. Okay, so you can say by default over here the cycles which has been mentioned is equals to 2 over here. Okay, now it's very
mm,
straightforward to understand the concept of days. Days is pretty much forward, like for how many days you want to retain the data, it will be retained for
mm,
those many days. Okay, what is cycle
mm,
over here? Okay, what is the role of the
mm,
cycle? What exactly the cycle is? We are defining the basic retention rules in terms of days and cycles.
mm,
Okay, so we will try to
mhm,
understand the concept of cycles, that what exactly the cycles is. Okay, so
mm,
that we can just try to understand from this particular slide. Okay, you can see this particular
mm,
slide, the cycles. If I try to give the definition of a cycle, then one cycle
mm,
is equals to the number of days between the two full backups.
Okay.
Two consecutive two backups. The gap, the number of days gap between the two consecutive full backups is equals to one cycle.
Hmm.
Okay. For example,
Okay.
in this
Hmm.
diagram, you can see on Friday, I'm running a full backup. Okay. On Saturday,
Hmm.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have taken the incremental backups.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, on next Friday,
Hmm.
when it comes, and next Friday, I have again taken a full backup. Okay. So,
Hmm.
when you take a next full backup, then your one cycle get complete. So, one cycle will contain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days.
Hmm.
Okay, so over here,
Okay.
if you are if you are taking a full backup after every 7 days, then the cycle is
Hmm.
equals to 7 days.
Hmm.
Okay, so cycles, if we try to I mean, if we talk about the general definition, then simply says that one cycle is equals to the time period between the two consecutive full backups.
ठीक है. Okay.
Okay, now
Hmm.
this one you can say this is a complete cycle because the next full already got completed. But this particular cycle is still an
Hmm.
active cycle because there is no next full backup that has been taken yet,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So we can read
Okay.
about the theoretical part over there. A cycle is traditionally defined as a complete full backup, all dependent, incremental, differential, or log backup up to but not including the subsequent full. In real world terms, a cycle is all backup job required to restore a system to a specific point in time. They have just mentioned all whatever I have told you in some more technical points. Okay, in some technical language, they are saying, they
Hmm.
simply says that that one cycle will include all your incremental differential backups until you are running the next full
Hmm.
backup, not including the next full backup.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's when if I include this particular
Okay.
full backup and the subsequent incremental, the number of days is coming to be 7.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so this is equals to
Okay.
one cycle.
Hmm. Okay.
Got it? So remember, in case of Commvault, for basic retention, we define the rule in terms of days and cycles.
Hmm.
Okay, now we'll
Okay.
try to get more clarity that how these days and cycle together work. Okay, see, these
Hmm.
days and cycle will be working in the form of and. Okay, it's not like kind of addition. It's kind of that both the situation should get what I say should be satisfied. I mean, if you
Fulfilled. Okay.
yes, both the conditions should be fulfilled. See, one criteria you have defined in terms of number of days, right? So you have
Hmm.
said the number of days should be equals to 15. For example, in this one, you have said the
Hmm.
number of days equals to 15 days
Hmm.
that for which you want to retain the
Hmm.
data. Okay. Now you have mentioned the two
Hmm.
cycles. Now let's suppose
Hmm.
I mean, after calculating in this in infrastructure, the two cycles is equals to 14 days. Okay, so that's
Okay.
means 15 days, and if cycles is equals to 14 days and days retention is equals to 15 days. So both should be satisfied on that will be like on 16th day. Even this particular retention will be completed and even this particular retention will be completed. So I can indirectly say that the retention of 15 days has been taken, I mean, has been taken into consideration. Or I can say in an indirect ways, whichever is the highest one in the both will
Hmm.
consider for the retention.
Uh, And if I says that if it is 15 days and zero cycles, then
15 days
15
will be
days.
there, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So why do people keep
Yes.
cycles then?
Yes, of course they will be keeping up. I will tell you what is the advantage of cycle. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, this is what cycle is, right? Now we will try to
Hmm.
understand that what happens if my full backup get failed. Okay. Now let's suppose this is a week one and every Friday I'm running a full backup. Okay. Now on
Huh.
Saturday, Sunday,
Hmm.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have taken the incremental backup. Now on the next Friday,
Hmm.
on a week to Friday, when the full backup was scheduled, it got failed due to any reason. Okay. So
Hmm.
on Friday, no
Hmm.
backup was taken place. So on Saturday, as per the schedule, I have taken again incremental, and Sunday again I have taken the incremental backup. Now let's suppose I came back on Monday, okay, and I find out
Hmm.
that on Friday my full backup got failed. Okay, so what I did is I
Mm.
manually triggered a full backup on Monday. Okay, now
Mm.
the full your one cycle is not equals to 7 days. Now this particular cycle, how many days will be they included in this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In this case, a single cycle is equals to 10 days. Okay,
Mm.
when you take a next full backup, then your subsequent incremental backup will start. Okay, now why this is
Okay.
why you are actually keeping up the incremental backups one, I mean, sorry, the cycles funda, it just to make sure that you have the required amount of full backup for your restoration. Getting my point?
Okay.
Okay, let's
Okay.
suppose, for example, if you are not having this cycle criteria, okay, and on your Friday
Mm.
your full backup got failed. Okay, and after that you are running the
Mm.
incremental backup on each and every day, and on the next Friday you will be running the on the week 3 Friday you will be running the full backup. Okay, now if
Mm.
restoration request comes up, okay, then you have to do the restoration from all of them, right? This is one of the
Mm.
scenario you can see. I mean, the number of backups will be larger. This is one of the scenario.
Mm.
The another, I mean, there is a multiple one. Like the another scenario which I have already told you, that to maintain at least one full backup in your cycle, okay, with you, so that you can
Mm.
always provide the
Mm.
restoration from there.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it will
Okay.
be it will be very useful when you will be actually working in somewhere where the critical infrastructure is there. Okay, and I mean, I mean, the full backups are very important and you don't want to miss it, and it gets failed due to any XYZ reason. So in those scenarios they are actually very useful.
So, okay, fine. For example, we have a scenario where the
Now we'll further try to understand that how exactly this will be, this days and cycle will be working. Okay,
Mhm.
now not this one. We'll just move on to the next one. Just give me a minute. We'll see at this particular one of the example over here. Okay. Let's suppose the
Mhm.
on the left hand side, we'll first discuss this one. The retention on the left side diagram is 7 days and 2 cycles. Okay, this is a retention
Mm.
that we have defined, like in terms of number of days is equals to 7, and the cycle that we have defined is equals to 2 cycles. Okay, now on
Mm.
Friday I have taken a full backup. Okay, Saturday
Mm.
incremental, Sunday incremental, and on Monday I have taken a full backup. Okay, so one for this
Mm.
particular full backup, one cycle got completed, but what is the retention that we have marked it?
Huh.
2 cycles. Okay,
Two
so
cycles.
then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have taken the incremental, and on next Friday again I have taken a full backup.
Mm.
Okay, so
Mm. Mm. Correct.
on this particular day, your retention has been complete. Your retention in terms of cycle got completed, because for the very first full
Mm.
backup there are the 2 cycles which got completed.
हाँ ठीक है. Mm.
Right, the 2 cycles got completed,
Mm.
but if I talks about, I mean, cycle criteria got completed on this day, but if I talk about in
Mm.
terms of number of days, 7 days is there, right?
Mm.
So that retention is
Mm.
not still getting completed for these 7 days. But if you look at the diagram and you start counting, you will say that no, even the 7 days is getting completed for the very first full backup, right? if if
Mm.
I if I count for this particular full backup, one,
हाँ
two,
correct.
three, four,
Mm.
5, 6, 7 days completed on this one.
Mm.
So this particular full
Mm.
backup should be deleted on Saturday morning, right?
Mm.
So,
Mm.
but and looking at this diagram, it says Saturday cycle met, but not the days criteria have not been met, right? why
Why?
why why he is right, exactly. Okay, the question is why he's saying so. This is because
Mm.
I mean, this incremental backup for the restoration is dependent upon this particular full, right? And this
Mm.
particular incremental is dependent upon the restoration for this on this particular incremental, right? So this
Mm.
these two incremental backup is indirectly dependent upon this full backup. If you delete this full
Mm.
backup, you will not be able to perform the restoration from these particular two incremental backups. Okay,
Okay.
so
Uh.
that's mean if I say that this particular incremental backup, that retention is equals to 7 days. Okay, Now your
Hmm.
for this particular incremental this cycle, your cycle criteria got completed on this day, but for this particular incremental, entire 7 days will be getting completed on the Monday. Okay, on the week to Monday, on this particular day, which you can see on the right hand side, right? If I talk about for this incremental, then it will be like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, right? 7 days got
Hmm.
completed on Sunday, so Monday morning this incremental will be deleted. So on Monday morning, though the retention for this incremental and full has already been completed, but they will be retained
Hmm.
till Monday morning because still this particular incremental backup has the retention. So on Monday morning, all these three backups will be deleted together. Okay,
Okay. Hmm.
got it?
Okay. But won't this be taking more medias and all? I mean, it
Yes.
would be
Indirectly, if you're marking up the retention, if you're marking up the retention of 7 days, then you can say that indirectly
hmm.
your full backup, this particular full backup has been retained for 10 days, right? Though you have marked the
Hmm.
retention of seven
Hmm.
days, right? But this is
Hmm.
how it's not even the Commvault. This is how your all backup tools work in case of your incremental backups. That your all the incremental backup in that particular cycle, or I can say I mean when you have taken a full and then after that you can take a subsequent incremental backup, all of them will be dependent upon full. If you will try to
Hmm.
delete any of the if you try to delete the full backup, it will say that you have the subsequent dependent incremental backup. Do you want to delete all those incremental backup job as well? If you don't want to delete the incremental backup, then your backup full backup will also not get deleted. Okay, remember this thing. This is not something related to, I can say, a Commvault. This is how your full, this is what is the concept of full and incremental is. Okay,
Hmm.
even if you will go to your infrastructure, you can check over there and you can see that if you have taking a full backup on every Friday, and then the subsequent incremental, if there is a retention that you have marked for the full backup, let's suppose 15 days, your full backup will not get deleted after 15 days, because if any of the subsequent or dependent incremental backup will be still having the retention, then the full will also be there.
No, actually, here something else happens. They take the first copy, and then if you're trying to do the restore from the
we will try to further understand the example or more examples. Okay, we'll try
Hmm.
to explain. I mean, you can see like this entire backup will be deleted on this particular day. Not a single backup, one by one they are
Hmm.
not getting deleted. Entire cycle is getting deleted on the when all the retention has been expired. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
now we'll see. We will consider one more scenario. Okay, and
Hmm.
yes, this is actually the same one. This is on this one, we will discuss one more scenario. That is, let's suppose I have marked the retention of 15 days two cycle, okay, on the left hand side.
Take it.
Okay. Now, for this
Hmm.
particular week one, I mean, if I start, I mean, every Friday I'm taking up the full backup. Cycles get on this particular day of week three. Your two
Hmm.
cycles will get complete
Hmm.
for this particular full backup. Okay. And if I talk
Hmm.
about the 15 days, the backup 15 days is getting completed on this particular day for this particular full backup, right? But
Hmm.
it will not
Hmm.
be deleted on this day. Okay. It will be deleted on the next week for Saturday, okay, or not on this Saturday, next week Saturday, because you can see that this particular incremental backup will still have the retention on
It's
this particular
dependent.
day.
Hmm.
The retention of this particular incremental, that is equals to 15 days, will get expire on this particular day, right? So that's why on this particular day,
Hmm.
week for Saturday, your entire cycle will be deleted. So though you have marked the retention of 15 days for first full backup, right? But it is indirectly
Hmm.
getting retained for 21 days. Okay,
Hmm.
and on 21 day, your all your incremental backup plus its dependent full backup will be deleted.
Hmm.
Okay, and if I talk
Okay.
about if the criteria changes to 14 days to cycle, then it will be deleted one day before,
हाँ ठीक है.
right?
Will be deleted on Friday. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, any question on this one?
For example, if somebody says that, see, I understand that week first, in this first scenario, the week first data would be deleting on week fourth, second day. That is.
Okay, we have discussed about the basic retention rules for all the backups. We have understand what is the days and cycles, right? But we
Hmm.
have not discussed about the extended retention rules for full backups. Okay,
Hmm.
now let's suppose from the client side there is a requirement that has come that client says that the month end last full backup, that is the last full backup of the month, or the first full backup of the month, or he says that there is some specific requirement that the last full backup of the week or last full backup even of the year. He wants that for these specific backups there should be some different retention. He says whatever the backup
Hmm.
which should be the last full backup of the month, right? For
Hmm.
that particular one, I want to have retention for, let's suppose, 365 days. I want to keep my
Hmm.
monthly data for 365 days. Okay. So what you are going to
Hmm.
do? Are you going to create the rules? I mean, different storage policy and everything. Okay. The answer is no. Okay.
Hmm.
What you are going to do is there is something called extended retention rules. Okay. And this
Hmm.
extended retention
Hmm.
can only be applied for full backups. You can see it says extended retention rules for full
Hmm.
backups. Okay. So what I will say,
Hmm.
let's suppose there is a requirement from the client that he want that month end backup for this particular, I mean on whatever sub client this particular storage policies apply, for all of them I want that the
Hmm.
month end backup should be retained for the 365 days. So what I will do is I will select
Hmm.
for. Okay, I will select for. If you want to
Hmm.
keep for that particular data for infinite, you can select infinite. Other, let's suppose I want to mark them for the
Hmm.
365 days retention. Okay, and what
Hmm.
data you want to mark for the 365? You want all the full backups, or the hourly full
Hmm.
backups, or daily full backup that you are running, weekly full or monthly full? Right now, the
Hmm.
criteria for me is monthly full. I will select
Monthly
monthly.
full.
Okay, and it
Hmm.
will mark the last full backup of the month for the monthly full retention. Whatever the full
Hmm.
backup which is there in the end of the month will be marked for that retention.
Hmm.
For example, if I look at the calendar, okay, let's suppose I'm running every Friday, I'm running a full backup. Okay,
Hmm.
now in this May the last Friday is coming upon 25th. So 25th
Hmm.
backup will be the last backup of this month. So this 25th backup
Hmm.
will be marked for the retention of 365 days. It will ignore the
Hmm.
basic retention rule because it qualify the extended retention rules. Okay,
Hmm.
now remember this thing that your extended retention can only be applied for the full backups. It is not applicable for incremental or differential backups. Okay, it is
Hmm.
apply for full and synthetic full both. Okay, now
Hmm.
right now client, I mean you are marking up the last full backup of your month for the month end retention. What if client says
Hmm.
yeah, that I don't want the last month to be last backup of the month to be retained, I want the first backup of the month to be retained, that is on 4th. Okay, whatever
Hmm.
the backup which is taken on 4th will be marked for the full retention. Then in that case you are going to select these options. Over here you can see the
Okay.
first full backup of the time period or last full backup of the time period. So according to that requirement
Hmm.
you are going to select the first full backup or the last full backup according to whatever the criteria you have selected.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
let me select the
Okay.
last full backup only. Okay, now you can even define that when your week start or when your month full rule start, like month start on 1. So after 1, whenever the
Hmm.
first full backup is taken, it will consider that particular backup. Now let's suppose in the month
Hmm.
rule start you have changed the date to 5th. Okay, let's suppose you have changed that
Hmm.
you will consider, you will tell Commvault that my month will start on 5th. Okay, so what you will say,
Hmm.
after 5th when your first full backup will run, because month had I mean on 4th I have taken a full backup, but Commvault will not consider that
Hmm.
particular backup as a first backup because for you the month has started on 4th, oh sorry, on 5th,
Hmm.
and on
Okay.
5th there is no full
Hmm.
backup, so next full backup will be 11th, so the 11th will be marked for the full retention, that your monthly retention.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay, got the concept of this extended retention, that you can apply
Hmm.
3 extended retention rule, that you want to keep it for 1,000. Let's suppose the year end last full backup, the last full backup of the year should be kept for 30 days. Now the year end backup you have to
Hmm.
go and you have to select the last option, that is your yearly full.
Hmm.
Okay,
ठीक है.
you can
Hmm.
add one more rule, that's it. For the extended retention rule you can only add 3 rules over here.
Hmm.
Okay,
एक. Hmm. अगर
There is one more criteria that I need to tell you is of grace periods. Okay, right now you can see in the monthly full backup there is an option which comes up with an option that is your grace. Okay, grace days. Okay, that
hmm,
simply means, let's suppose if your full backup which was supposed to be taken on 25th. Okay, if I look at this
hmm,
particular diagram, let's suppose your full backup was scheduled to be on 25th. Okay, now due to any
hmm,
xyz reason this got failed. Okay, so in grace
hmm,
period what you can see is, you had, let's suppose you had defined the 7 days in the grace period. So what it will do is,
hmm,
it will go 7 days back, keep looking for the full backup.
hmm,
If there is any full backup in the last 7 days, then that particular backup will
hmm.
be marked for the retention of your monthly full. Simple.
Monthly full. Okay. Okay.
Okay, and that is actually, this grace period concept is very much useful in case of yearly full backup. For example, this yearly full backup is
हाँ.
there, and in the grace period you are getting an option of 45 days in case of yearly backup. Now let's
Hmm.
suppose you have marked
Hmm.
the let's suppose you have marked 15 days as a grace period. So at the year end, if
Hmm.
I go to the last on the December, if I see that, Friday is on 28th, now 28th backup got failed,
Hmm.
it will just keep looking for the last 15 days, and whenever it find a full backup, it will be marked for the year end retention. Let's suppose the backup is there on 21st, then it will be taken and it will mark for the
Hmm.
yearly full backup. Now let's suppose due to any xyz reason even this backup got failed, the 21st. Okay,
Hmm.
it was also failed. So it will further go back and it will go to the 14th, because till now it's only 14 days that has been completed. So I have mentioned the grace 15 days, so it will just keep looking till 13, and if there is any successful
Hmm.
backup till 13, so it will be marked for the yearly full retention. Okay, so
तो
this is
मतलब जो
the
भी
concept
पहला
of your grace period.